Hey everybody, how's it going? Um, Know No Fear is a Horus Heresy book that I've had since it came out, and I read it really quickly. I've read it, I've had it read for a while. It just slipped through the cracks. I wanted to do a video on it, and then, I'd just been busy, and it just fell through the cracks. So I'm going to do a little ramble on it now. It's a little late, but better late than never, I guess. Because I like doing little rambles on the books and on anything really pertaining to this hobby, if you will. So let's go for it. Know No Fear is a Horus Heresy novel. It's the 19th in the series. It's a lot of books. I read through all of them. I have to say, it doesn't feel like 19. It feels like less. I'm surprised that there are that many books out and there's more to come. So, um, what is it? Well, Know No Fear is a book around the Ultramarines, and even though we had the Furious Abyss, which had kind of an Ultramarine theme to it as well, I would classify this as kind of like the real first Ultramarine Horus Heresy novel. This actually deals with the Legion proper, and it's not just focusing on a group of Ultramarines in and amongst other legions doing stuff like the Furious Abyss, which I won't get into because I'm talking about Know No Fear. And yes, there was a short story for the Ultramarines in one of the other, I don't remember, as Age of Darkness or something, but a couple of the Horus Heresy novels, and it looks like a trend to come, is not one novel but a collection of short stories and whatnot. And in one of them was an Ultramarine short story. Um, so Know No Fear is the full-on Legion, focusing on the Ultramarines. Therefore, I qualify it as the first real Ultramarine novel for the Legion. It's a standalone novel. There are some books in the Horus Heresy novel series that are kind of like part ones and twos and all that. There's two Dark Angel books. I would recommend reading them in succession to get the full feel of it. I would say the first three books you should read in order as well. But even though there's 19 books, they don't all have to be read in order. You can read some of the books on their own completely. For example, Mechanicum, you can read that by itself. The Legion is a standalone book, you can read it by itself. Same thing with Know No Fear. I say that even though they do reference some stuff from the first Heretic novel, which is a Word Bearers novel. And you don't have to read the first Heretic to read Know No Fear, because the way they reference it is kind of like, they reference something and then they kind of explain it a little bit. So you're not really going to be at a loss for anything to kind of reference a bit. Now, as far as this book goes, I think it's a fun book to read. I enjoyed reading it. It's set up in the Ultramarine style. Like when you read this book, it feels very Ultramarine-like. The chapters and everything are broken down into kind of like battle times, like a battle timeline. So you have negative time, 0 hour, and then positive time. 0 hour is when their Primarch, Gulliman or Geeman, however you pronounce his name, is when he officially gives the order to basically return fire and defend and attack and drive them back. The negative time is all the events that happened prior to his official declaration of war against the Word Bearers, basically, and positive time is the battle after that fact. So they mention that in the book. I just wanted to mention it again here. Also, I feel this book has the longest list of characters in any of the Horus Heresy books. The Ultramarine is the biggest legion, the Word Bearers second biggest legion, and just with the events that's going on, there's a lot of characters that you can kind of get lost in a little bit at the very beginning, but as you read, it kind of just clicks. And with that, as with any Horus Heresy book, they jump around a bit in terms of one chapter be on one character, and maybe for several chapters, and then all of a sudden it'll jump to a different character's point of view and different thing going on there. That's just the way these books go. This is no exception to that. It's not a big deal at all. You won't really get lost. It's just something to kind of get used to as you read. And again, it'll just click. So, Know No Fear is not a brand new concept in terms of what it has in it, the battle it's talking about. The battle it's talking about is something we meaning anybody who is kind of like a fan of the Horus Heresy time period, not so much just the novel, but of the time period, probably know about already. Um, and therefore, it's not so much a brand new battle, a brand new thing that nobody's heard about, but it's more along the lines of showing you exactly the details of what transpired in that battle. So I'm not going to give away any spoilers, and hopefully I really haven't. I don't think I have on the about this book itself. But as far as the battle goes, we know how it turns out. Basically, the Word Bearers are trying to kill off the Ultramarines. Now, if you look at, post Heresy 40K, which all the codices are based on, we have the Word Bearers Chaos Force, and we have the Ultramarines chapter. So you kind of know how it ends right from that. But it is cool. I think it gives the Ultramarines some street cred, if you will. At least locally, a lot of people find Ultramarines boring and kind of like lame, and view them as like I said, boring and lame. And I think that's unfortunate. I think they're a pretty cool chapter. I mean, I'm a Dark Angel fan at heart, but the Ultramarines are pretty cool, and I do like them. So it's nice to see the Ultramarines being, cool and written well. I think we get to see the Ultramarine Legion done pretty well here, how they adapt and how they are able to fight. We have to keep in mind while reading this book that the timeline of when this book takes place is pretty much in the infancy of the Horus Heresy. It's right after the Drop Site Massacre, pretty much. So Terra doesn't know about the extent of Horus's betrayal. The Ultramarines have no idea Horus has betrayed the Emperor, really, and they don't realize that the Word Bearers have joined Horus's forces. They're still obeying his order to link up with the Word Bearers over Calth. That's how this battle takes place, is because they're following the War Master's orders, because they still think he's loyal, and they think the Word Bearers are okay and loyal as well. So that's why the extent of this betrayal is so big and massive, and why there's such a desperate battle against the Ultramarines, because the Ultramarines is the largest legion, and they have a very good track record. So if the Word Bearers took them on head on, it wouldn't be necessarily the best of fights for them to do. So the betrayal and seeing how it sets into motion is pretty cool. Anyways, just want to point that out there. So, because I know it's happened with other books I've seen kind of online, people leaving comments of on like forums or wherever. They're like, how could so and so not see this betrayal? How did they not know that they are evil or whatever? And you got to remember that A, they don't have the omnipotent knowledge we have as readers, and B, in the timeline of the Horus Heresy, this particular book, No Fear, to put in that example, is pretty much right after the Drop Site Massacre. There's not much that we can perceive of a time gap between that. So just want to put that in perspective. If you read Deliverance Lost, I would say this is kind of taking place along the lines of the same time as Deliverance Lost. Anyways, that's pretty much it. I think it's a cool book. If you're an Ultramarine fan, it's worth checking out. And if you're a Space Marine fan, it's worth checking out. And I would say even if you're a Word Bearers or a Chaos fan, it's kind of worth checking out, because you got Chaos taking on the Ultramarines here. One thing I think will have to be wait to be seen if the Ultramarines are referenced again in the series is how large the Ultramarine chapter is now, or Legion is now. Because the Ultramarines were always the largest Legion, and they kind of were the policing body post-Heresy, because they were left kind of untouched from the Heresy, because they were not present for the Siege of Terra. They only had to fight off the Word Bearers, and that's pretty much it. This novel makes their casualties seem absolutely catastrophic, and if it might, I don't know if it's kind of an attempt at a retcon to make it the Ultramarines be much more devastated than they sounded like they were in the previous timelines that we've had, or not. Or I don't know if how much the Legion was actually present. It's not quite clear. So I'm hoping that it's still kind of the Ultramarines are still the largest Legion. They're wounded, but they're not kind of like devastated like the legions at the Drop Site Massacre were, for example. Because I don't think the Ultramarines were or should be, if you go along with the whole fluff of the post-Heresy, immediately after the Heresy is over, kind of what the Ultramarines are doing. Anyways, that's just my own little 2 cents on that. And that's it for No Fear. Definitely check it out. If you're an Ultramarine fan, a Space Marine fan, a Horus Heresy fan, it's worth checking out. Again, it's not so much a brand new battle we never heard of. It's more so getting more details, getting the meat out of what we heard of already. Like we heard, yeah, this battle happened, and kind of this is kind of what happened, and this is the end result, and there's not much there. This book gives you the meat to put on those bones. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for sticking through this long ramble, and until next time, take it easy.